Malware concealment. These categories are not mutually exclusive, so malware may use multiple techniques. This section only applies to malware designed to operate undetected, not sabotage and ransomware. Viruses. A computer virus is software usually hidden within another seemingly innocuous program that can produce copies of itself and insert them into other programs or files, and that usually performs a harmful action, such as destroying data. An example of this is a p-infection, a technique, usually used to spread malware, that inserts extra data or executable code into p-files. Screen locking ransomware. Lock screens, or screen lockers, is a type of cyber police ransomware that blocks screens on Windows or Android devices with a false accusation and harvesting illegal content, trying to scare the victims into paying up a fee. GSUT and Slocker impact Android devices more than other lock screens, with GSUT making up nearly 60% of all Android ransomware detections. Trojan Horses. A Trojan horse is a harmful program that misrepresents itself to masquerade as a regular, benign program or utility in order to persuade a victim to install it. A Trojan horse usually carries a hidden destructive function that is activated when the application is started. The term is derived from the ancient Greek story of the Trojan horse used to invade the city of Troy by stealth. Trojan horses are generally spread by some form of social engineering, for example, where a user is duped into executing an email attachment disguised to be unsuspicious, for example, a routine form to be filled in, or by drive-by download. Although their payload can be anything, many modern forms act as a backdoor, contacting a controller which can then have unauthorized access to the affected computer. While Trojan horses and backdoors are not easily detectable by themselves, computers may appear to run slower due to heavy processor or network usage. Unlike computer viruses and worms, Trojan horses generally do not attempt to inject themselves into other files or otherwise propagate themselves. In spring 2017, Mac users were hit by the new version of Proton Remote Access Trojan, RAT, trained to extract password data from various sources, such as browser autofill data, the macOS keychain, and password vaults. Rootkits. Once malicious software is installed on a system, it is essential that it stays concealed, to avoid detection. Software packages known as rootkits allow this concealment, by modifying the host's operating system so that the malware is hidden from the user. Rootkits can prevent a harmful process from being visible in the system's list of processes, or keep its files from being read. Some types of harmful software contain routines to evade identification and/or removal attempts, not merely to hide themselves. An early example of this behavior is recorded in the jargon file tale of a pair of programs infesting a Xerox CPV time-sharing system. Each ghost job would detect the fact that the other had been killed, and would start a new copy of the recently stopped program within a few milliseconds. The only way to kill both ghosts was to kill them simultaneously, very difficult, or to deliberately crash the system. Backdoors. A backdoor is a method of bypassing normal authentication procedures, usually over a connection to a network such as the Internet. Once a system has been compromised, one or more backdoors may be installed in order to allow access in the future, invisibly to the user. The idea has often been suggested that computer manufacturers pre-install backdoors on their systems to provide technical support for customers, but this has never been reliably verified. It was reported in 2014 that U.S. government agencies had been diverting computers purchased by those considered targets to secret workshops where software or hardware permitting remote access by the agency was installed, considered to be among the most productive operations to obtain access to networks around the world. Backdoors may be installed by Trojan horses, worms, implants, or other methods. Evasion. Since the beginning of 2015, a sizable portion of malware utilizes a combination of many techniques designed to avoid detection and analysis. The most common evasion technique is when the malware evades analysis and detection by fingerprinting the environment when executed. The second most common evasion technique is confusing automated tools detection methods. This allows malware to avoid detection by technologies such as signature-based antivirus software by changing the server used by the malware. The third most common evasion technique is timing-based evasion. This is when malware runs at certain times or following certain actions taken by the user, so it executes during certain vulnerable periods, such as during the boot process, while remaining dormant the rest of the time. The fourth most common evasion technique is done by obfuscating internal data so that automated tools do not detect the malware. An increasingly common technique is adware that uses stolen certificates to disable anti-malware and virus protection. Technical remedies are available to deal with the adware. Nowadays, one of the most sophisticated and stealthy ways of evasion is to use information hiding techniques, namely stegamalware. A survey on stegamalware was published by Cabot et al. In 2018.